Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the We're Not Stumped podcast. I'm your host, Mike Bolland, and today, at least the day this comes out, is a Thursday. So today, I get to just talk to you, from me to you. I get to talk to you, to the great audience of the We're Not Stumped podcast. So there's a few things I wanted to go over. When this is coming out, which is sometime in late September, EmpowerFest just ended the weekend before, and I had never been to an EmpowerFest. This time, it was in Arizona, so I had to go see it, and I want to thank the people at Hanger Clinic for allowing me to go out there on behalf of the We're Not Stumped podcast. Christy Atha in particular, she did a great job of making sure that I met the right people. But boy, let me tell you something. If you have not been to EmpowerFest, you got to go. You got to go. It is an absolutely fantastic event. The people that put on the organization, that put on the event, did it top notch. I met so many great people there. I saw some old guests of the We're Not Stumped podcast. Stevie Walker was out there. Jeff Solberg was out there. Dan Moses was out there. I mean, there's probably some that I'm forgetting, so I apologize for that. But there are so many great people. I have some people that are now lined up to be guests on the We're Not Stumped podcast because I was able to meet them out there. But I can't recommend EmpowerFest highly enough. If you are in the limb loss community and you feel like you need to have a community, you're not sure about your community, next year, do yourself a favor and go to EmpowerFest. It is absolutely, and I'm sure this is why they call it this, it is empowering. A couple different organizations that I'm affiliated with also had a represented there. Number one, Ability 360. I'm on the board of directors at Ability 360. It is a fantastic organization. So last Saturday, which would have been, I think, the 21st of September, 2025, I'll be close. Maybe it was the 22nd. I don't have a calendar in front of me. It's all I can do with one hand to do this whole podcast, single-handedly. So I'm not going to be flipping through a calendar. But anyway, Saturday was an event at Ability 360. There was basketball, there was weightlifting, there was swimming, all sorts of different adaptive ways to keep yourself in shape, which is always great for the mind, body, and soul. So again, Ability 360, you couldn't have done it any better. And let me give a little plug here. So this is, this is September 25, late September of 2025. On November 6th of 2025, Ability 360 is going to have a breakfast. And I am part of that. I have a table. It is a fundraising and awareness breakfast. If you would like to be part of that, if you're in Arizona, actually, if you want to fly in and be part of it, let me know. I'd love to have you at my table. So if you're interested in being part of the Ability 360 breakfast on November 6th at 7:30, please let me know. Help support that fantastic organization that I think, for the most part, people were blown away by how great Ability 360 is. And I was too the first time I saw it. It is absolutely fantastic. If you haven't been there and you're in Arizona, hey, if you're not in Arizona, you want to go check it out, they'd love to have you. So please go do that. Additionally, I am now on the board of directors of another fantastic organization, and this one's called Freedom's Wings Arizona. And what they do is take people up in gliders and show them kind of a different perspective of life, a very peaceful way to go up in a glider, and it's all free for the participants, and they donated their time, energy to allowing people from EmpowerFest to go up in a glider. And they did this on Monday. They weren't able to do it on Sunday like originally planned for certain reasons, but they did it on Monday. And, again, another great organization. I'm associated with it, and they need support, as all of these organizations need support. All these great organizations doing great things. Matter of fact, let me talk about another one coming up. The Ability Ball for Arizona Disabled Sports. I'm very proud to say I'm the 2025 Volunteer of the Year with that organization. They have their Ability Ball on October 4th of 2025. So if you'd like to support that organization or the Ability Ball, buy a table, anything, Arizona Disabled Sports, they will be able to help you. And if you need to get a hold of me, the easiest way probably for all the organizations I'm talking about is to get a hold of me, and I'd be happy to play traffic cop and make sure that you're going to the right area, because there's so many great organizations out there. I mean, it blows me away. Here's another great organization. I know there is a great amputee support group that is run by Billy Parker and Kelly Parker. I met Billy at EmpowerFest. What a great guy. Greater in person. I mean, it's so fun. It is so fun to meet. And he's been on the podcast too. So fun. Again, EmpowerFest was fantastic. If you are part of the limb loss community, you need to get out there next year. And I don't know, I think it's in San Jose is where they said it was. check your local listings. I'm not here to represent EmpowerFest. I can only tell you from my personal experience, you should be out there. Ability 360 at ability360.org. Go to the breakfast, sit at my table. I'd love to have you. It'd be fantastic. That's November 6th at 7:30 a.m. Arizona Disabled Sports, they have their Ability Ball on October 4th at 5 o'clock. And you can sit at my table there too if you'd like. I don't care. We could all enjoy a good meal and maybe a great glass of wine. But support that organization and Freedom's Wings Arizona, another great organization. So fun to be involved with great people. So that was the first part of what I want to talk about today. If you were at EmpowerFest, leave a comment. Tell me what you thought of it. Leave a comment on any of the platforms. Certainly Spotify allows comments now, and so does YouTube. So please leave a comment. Love to hear from your perspective how well you thought it went. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Number 2, I want to talk about something that happened to me a couple weeks ago. And when I say happened to me, I was pretty much involved in this. I haven't done the Thursday podcast in a couple weeks, but 2 weeks ago, I almost came out with a Friday episode. And here's the whole backstory. There is a local comedian here in Arizona, and I'm not going to say his name because he chose to do the right thing. But what he did was take screenshots from Victoria's Secrets, and in particular, these screenshots, the models that he took were missing upper limbs. One was congenital. I can just tell because I'm congenital. The other one was some kind of accident. And he thought it was funny to make fun of those two models. And that was terrible. So I was going to come out with a podcast and telling him that was not acceptable. Well, as it turns out, our paths did cross, and I told him that. I told him that via a phone call. I'm like, dude, this is not the way to go, because his joke was in poor taste, and I'm going to paraphrase it, but I'll be damn close. And as a matter of fact, I will have a screenshot of the models and what was said on the YouTube version of this, but I will paraphrase something along the lines of Victoria's Secret's models used to be da bomb. Now it looks like they got hit by a bomb. It's like, man, that's just not the right way to go about this. Because here's the deal. Those models have more courage in them to go up and be Victoria's Secret's models than anybody I know, including myself, because they know they're going to take daggers. They're going to take pot shots. People are going to take pot shots of them. And it's just not right. That's how much courage they have. So I took offense to that. I didn't like the way that was done. Matter of fact, I took the screenshot and I shared it with others in my network, meaning people that have been on this podcast, people that I trust, because maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not the type of person, though, that typically looks at something like that and is like, oh, that's just done in poor taste. But something triggered that in me this time. And sure enough, all the people that I trust, whether they've been on the podcast, whether it's just in the network, in the community, they thought the same thing. And I'll tell you how you know you're onto something. When you just send the screenshot or the actual post, and the first reaction is, ugh, oh my gosh, you know that it isn't right. But we did have a conversation, and like I said, he did take the post down. And I spent this Thursday a couple weeks ago actually crafting my podcast around all of this. And just to let me peel back the layers of the onion, however you want to say it, when it comes to a podcast. For those of you that are thinking about starting a podcast, these aren't easy. And I do it all myself. I do all my editing myself, whether it be the audio, the visual. As a matter of fact, I have a business called One Hand Man Productions. It can be found at onehandmanproductions.com. If you need any help with any audio or video, I'd love to give you a quote. I'd love to earn your business. But this isn't easy. To get back to the initial point, it takes time. It takes time to do it the way at least I like to do it, which is right, and with screenshots and a lot of editing again. So not only do you have to record this, which I'm doing right now, but then you have to make it ready for audio and video. And again, it just takes time. Well, since I talked to him before my podcast was going to be ready to release, because I had it scheduled, and he pulled it down, well, then I took mine down, because that was the thing. He took down his post, so I thought there's no reason for me to go through with the podcast that I was going to go live with. And this is the interesting part for me. So here it is come Monday, over the weekend. I mean, it was I shouldn't say come Monday. this was the Thursday that I created. It was going to go live on Friday. So it didn't go live on Friday. And then, of course, Saturday and Sunday, I'm reflecting on the time I invested in putting that podcast together. And I thought to myself, man, I put in a few hours right there for nothing. The podcast didn't go live. And, did I waste any energy, even just personal energy, on this whole thing? And I thought that for a few minutes. And that's really all I thought. It was just for a few minutes. Because then I started to think, well, wait a minute. No, that was the right thing for me to do. However, it came down to the point to where that post was taken down, and the models, they may or may not have seen his post. Who knows? But I'm sure they've seen enough just like it to where one less post like that about making fun of the limb loss community, one less post about that, the better. So if I did a small part in that, I guess it was a victory, and I guess it did earn my time. So a couple of the things as we end today's podcast. If you haven't signed up for the We're Not Stumped podcast newsletter, first of all, it's not a newsletter. The only thing it does is tell you when new podcasts go live. I don't have a newsletter. I don't talk about things. I know a lot of people already, listen, we all get too many emails. But what I would appreciate people doing is to sign up for the newsletter so they know when new episodes go live. Because it's not just about the limb loss community. We talk a lot about mental health. I've had other communities come on now, and it's all about the positivity and how we can overcome and be better people ourselves by listening to people that have been through some things that made them a better person, and they have insights that are just amazing. I just interviewed Naomi Flores today, and I met her at EmpowerFest. That's going to be a great episode. The one that came out a couple of weeks ago, I had Mike St. Onge and Sean Johnson from Empowering Skills for Life. What an amazing episode. There are so many great things and so many great people that I've been honored to have on the podcast that, hey, listen, if I'm going to brag about the We're Not Stumped podcast, please realize I'm not bragging about anything I'm doing. I'm bragging about the great people that have been on this podcast and have shared things that make us all better, make us, maybe even, dare I say, make us a better society. So that's all I have today. My name is Mike Bolland. As I say, whenever I end these podcasts on Thursdays, again, this is releasing on a Thursday. I don't know when you're listening to it, but this has been released on a Thursday. As I say every Thursday, as I end this podcast, everyone, have a great week.